All right, Prop the Mic, presented by Props.cash, back for NFL Week 6. Dave's getting his bags packed, getting ready to head to Kansas City to visit Arrowhead for the first time and root on his beloved Chiefs. But before he hits the road, we've brought along a very special guest for today's pod, the OG PTM guest himself, Proptology, a.k.a. Mike. What's up, Mike? What's up, Dave? How you boys doing?
Good, man. Glad to be on here again. Always glad to chop it up with you guys. Going to be kind of sad to let Dave know the Broncos are winning this week. I'm just kidding. Might be time to let Russ cook.
No, man. I don't know, man. If the Broncos win in my first game in Arrowhead, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. So you may never see me again. So especially after the Jets just took care of them and they've just been getting annihilated. So I can't handle that.
I think you're safe. I think you'll be okay.
Hey, before we dive in, though, we got to give, I believe it was Tom, his flowers for last week, right? That you just absolutely smashed that Justin Fields game on Thursday night.
Yeah, dude.
I'm pretty sure Dave laughed at you, too, didn't he?
I did.
He laughed at me a lot, though. So,
you know what I found with Tom is like when he has these picks that go against the grain, and everybody else is fading, and Tom goes for the over. Those are the ones you got to smash because he's usually got some sort of hidden information as to why that's going to happen. So hopefully you got something like that today, Tom.
I might have a few sneaky things here.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for that. You guys ready to get into the game?
Let's do it. You guys go ahead first.
All right, so let's just kick it off again. Got the Broncos at the Chiefs. Broncos are 1-4 on the season. Chiefs are 4-1 on the season. Big spread in this game. Chiefs are minus 10.5 at home. Total's nice. Total's 47.5. So, now that we're kind of getting deeper into the season, anything north of 45, 46 is a pretty nice total, some good offense. So there's definitely an expectation the Chiefs are going to score in this game. And quite honestly, for all of their shortcomings on the Broncos side, the Broncos can score. So I think the Broncos will put up some points in this game as well. Last point before we dive into the props. These two teams played twice last season. Chiefs at Broncos was December 11th. The Chiefs won that one 34-28, so 6-point spread there. Broncos came to Arrowhead, and the Chiefs won that one 28-24 on January 8th. So two end of the season games, very tight games, 6 points and 4 points. So hopefully I don't experience that sort of anxiety on this one, but we'll see. All right, so let's start on the Chiefs side. Let's get the props out there. Tom, I'll start with you because I know you're cautious about this. You feel like the Chiefs are going to dominate, but at the same point, you're concerned that we'll have like a repeat of the Chiefs-Bears, where by the fourth quarter, the Chiefs start resting everybody. But let's start on the quarterback side. You got anything for Mahomes?
Let me run through some of the matchup stuff here. Like you said, the Broncos can score a bit, but one thing they can't do is play defense. So I am a bit cautious with this game. Just because, like you said, I could see a similar outcome to the that game against the Bears coming out here. So let's look at the quarterback. Denver is 25th in pass rush win rate, but now neither of their two best defensive linemen, DJ Jones and Frank Clark, were able to practice this week. So they already took a bad pass rush, and it's probably going to be even worse. Add to the fact that Kansas City's offensive line is has the number one pass block win rate in the NFL this season. Denver allows the second highest quarterback rating, 117 average. They give up the most yards per attempt to opposing quarterbacks, the second most air yards per attempt, and the fourth most completions of 10-plus yards. 56 completions of 10-plus yards so far this season by quarterbacks against Denver. So quarterback-wise, I don't have an individual play on Patrick Mahomes. I because I'm worried about them like getting out to a big lead and resting him. I've put him into a parlay here. So I don't know if you want to come back to that. If you guys have any individual plays, you want to get to those first now that we kind of went through the matchups?
Yeah, let's check with Mike. You got anything on Mahomes for this game?
So I had a bunch of stats here, but I think Tom just ripped them all off. I don't know that I got anything left. But to go with everything he said, I had some of that stuff too. Fourth worst in passing, 36.2 points per game, 450 yards per game. 6.95 yards per play allowed. This is all bottom five stuff, if not worse. Arguably one of the worst defenses we've seen in the last decade. But at the same time, it's a Thursday night game, so I was hesitant on how to play some of these things too. I don't want to get too chalky. We'll get to running backs, but obviously it's a smash spot for Pacheco. The way I'm looking at this is Mahomes under 22.5 rushing yards at -115. I just don't. He's only hit that in one of the last 4 games versus Denver. I don't see a need to be running him against Denver. They should be beating him. They should be beating them easily throughout the whole game, as all the stats point to. I don't see why Mahomes would have to run. He can pass all over them. Who he's passing to, I'm not sure yet, but I don't see a need for him to run for 23 yards when he hasn't been doing that. At the same time, um, shout out to Spit and Picklets. He makes those graphs every week. I believe, where is it here? The Broncos allow some of the lowest rushing yards per game to quarterbacks, which is mainly because they're getting their ass kicked all the time. They don't really need
I was
to.
gonna
So
say.
I do like that. It's 14.8 rushing yards per game allowed to the QB. The Broncos are allowing.
Yeah, that's a good one, Mike. I mean, it's funny because that is, long before we started Prop the Mike, that's always been our favorite prop to play every week was Mahomes over rushing yards. But this is a spot where I am so tempted to play this, but it really just doesn't fit into the game script. So I kind of like the under. I personally will never play that, but I definitely think it's a logical play here.
For sure.
I think also, I don't know if his longest rush attempt is there too, but that's probably also another one to consider as well, fading. Yeah, that's available for 12.5. So I don't know. I probably the total yards is better.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I think this is a great angle here. I just don't think Mahomes always does when the bigger the game is, when the pressure's on, high leverage situations, you can always count on Mahomes to get these runs. When he doesn't have to, he's going to be handing this ball off to Pacheco. He's going to be throwing it around, spreading the ball out amongst this whole list of receivers that you've never heard of. And yeah, I like the under on his rush yards.
Yeah, I think that's a good play. I would be curious. I'm going to try to find this after the show, but I would be curious what % of Mahomes' rushing yards in his career have come on third down. It's got to be like 80%. Like that's his game, right? He takes off when they need those 8 yards or whatever. Yeah. So, all right, cool. Let's move to the running back position actually, because you were kind of already heading that way, Mike. What do you like on Pacheco here today?
Yeah, so rushing. I mean, it's almost one of those lines where I don't know if the books can make it high enough, right? I mean, it's going to be chalky. Everyone's going to be with the way they've gotten ran all over. I mean, week 2, Robinson had 87 and 2 touchdowns. The Dolphins combined in week 3 for 285 yards and 5 touchdowns. Herbert had 103 against them, and Brees, we know, just put up 177 and a touchdown. So honestly, I don't know if you can go wrong with Pacheco. One I like. He's hit 3 out of the last 4. That's the longest rush, which is 15.5. It's juiced right now up to like -140, I believe. You might be able to find a better line somewhere in a different book. But I think, just the way Pacheco is able to hit that burst and go, and obviously Denver clearly having tackling problems, I see him getting that 15.5 longest rush.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Tom?
I like that. I happen to be on his longest reception. That's my angle here. I'll tell you why. Running back receptions against Denver, they've allowed the 5th most targets to running backs, but the 3rd most receptions. Running backs are 30 for 33 catching the ball against Denver this season. And this is my favorite stat. They've allowed, I brought this up on a previous pod, the most yards after contact on running back receptions at 8.7. Chicago's number 2 at 6.2, and there's 3 people tied at number 3 at 4.7. So there's a wide gap there. And you want to know why? Raheem Mostert, 30 yards after contact on receptions in that game. Devon Achane, 14 yards after contact. Antonio Gibson, 20. Brian Robinson, 26. Josh Jacobs, 21. His line is 8.5. -125 on DK. He's done this in 11 of 15 overall, last 6 of 7 at home. And look at the 2 games against Denver, 9 and 17. I love this. And I think if you're able to even get an alt line on this and get it up a bit, I could see this one smashing.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think, honestly, I would consider playing both of them, the longest rush, the longest reception, because I think they're both great plays. Yeah. I was just looking at as rush attempts before we jumped on. I really like the trend there as well. Started out the season in that weird start to the season where they had Clyde Edwards-Helaire taking like the first snaps. I was getting scared there that something was wrong with Pacheco. But then after that, Jacksonville, he had 12. And then since then, 15 against Chicago in a complete blowout. Edwards-Helaire, I think, had 10 plus snaps in that game as well. So he got a ton in a blowout situation, 20 against the Jets and 16 against Minnesota. So I think I think he's going to get a lot of attempts rushing wise. I think he's going to get a couple of receptions as well. I think they can both clear. Good plays, guys.
Dave, while we're on running backs, let me ask you as a Chiefs fan, what do you think they're doing with McKinnon right now? Are they just kind of saving him for playoffs again, or is it just Pacheco time now?
McKinnon is, I wouldn't even consider him a running back, to be honest with you. They don't really use him as a running back. I was looking at that because he's actually my favorite play for this game. They don't really hand him off the ball. I think he gets 1 to 3 carries a game. Even in the Bears game, I think he barely got 3 carries or something like that. So in a blowout situation, Edwards-Helaire is the second running back, but McKinnon is potentially one of their best receivers. Not a deep ball receiver, but simple little screen or a dump, and he can take off. So I think he might get more volume as the season progresses, but I think they've just kind of slotted him into a very specific role where he gets a couple catches a game and just takes off. And that's why I really love him for this scenario. Just like you were saying, Tom, on Pacheco, with all the potential to just burst. McKinnon has even more potential, I think, in terms of his capability once he catches the ball to run. I'm trying to find his. Let's look at him.
I would, while you're looking that up, I would just say one interesting thing to note here is Kansas City's offensive line has the second worst run block win rate this season. So just something I don't think it factors in because Denver also has the second worst run stop win rate on the defensive side. But just when you're looking at some of these props, just something to keep in mind. Like I just mentioned, they had the best offensive line in terms of pass blocking, but when it comes to run blocking, they're almost dead last. So just something to point out. I thought was interesting.
You guys froze there.
Oh. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. So yeah, I going back to McKinnon receiving yards. This is my play, just so we can cover really everybody, every angle of the rushing and running back receiving attack. 15.5 yards is what it's at on PointsBet, but look on props.cash, you can get this on FanDuel for 14.5, BetMGM for 13.5, and DraftKings and Caesar for 12.5. So I actually about 30 minutes ago locked up that 12.5. I love that. And look what McKinnon did against Denver the last 3 games. 26 receiving yards, 112 receiving, and 52 receiving. So I'm going to not only take the over 12.5, but I'm also going to sprinkle something on. I think you can get 50 receiving yards for plus 900 or something like that. So
nice. Love that.
Oh, also, just while we're on McKinnon, look what he did too. 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns against Denver as well. So
wow.
You can get 2 touchdowns for McKinnon for plus 3,000 on DraftKings around there. So or
did you bet that one already?
That was the first one I locked up. So look for me. I'll be right around the 50-yard line, about 20 rows up from the field. And if McKinnon scores a second touchdown, the camera's definitely going to zoom to me, and I'll be screaming my head off because that'll be a big win. All right, enough about the Chiefs running backs. You guys got anything on the receiving side for the Chiefs?
I got one. Yeah.
All right. Start with you, Tom.
All right. So Denver, just to go through the matchups here, they give up the 3rd most yards per reception to wide receivers, third most yards before catch, 9th most yards after catch. Always love when both of those are high here. And they've allowed the 7th highest average longest reception. So lots of explosive plays here. This I'm hoping is a little bit sneaky. Justin Watson, you want to pull him up? Over 22.5 receiving yards. Have it at minus 115 on DK. He's got a nice upward trend on his snap count percentage, actually the highest among any player on the Chiefs in terms of an upward trend. He's cleared this in 4 or 5 games this season. The only miss was against the Jets, who are a good defense. The other games where he cleared this, Detroit, Jacksonville, Chicago, Minnesota, all relatively bad defenses. The 2 home games he's played this season, 51 and 45. And when he has more than 1 target, he's cleared this in his last 6 of 7 at home and 10 of 15 overall. I think this is a sneaky little one. What do you say, Dave?
I don't know why the line is set at 23.5. This was one of the first ones I saw as well. Like the guy is putting up 40 plus yards per game. Like you said, the only game where he didn't was against probably the best one of the best defenses in the league, in the Jets. That's the only compliment you'll get on the show for the Jets, Tom. But look at, it's all about the longest reception. So I think that's another way to tackle this. He's not getting a lot of volume, but the ones that he gets are all deep ball threats. And this is honestly one of Mahomes' best deep ball options now with the limited receiving core that he has. So I would go with either of those. I think they're both plays. I think they're both cash.
Agreed.
What do you think, Mike?
Agreed.
Yeah, I like that. That's not someone I looked at. Honestly, I kind of passed on the receivers. I was a little hesitant to fully commit to one. To Kansas City says they're doing a rotation. At some point, I don't know that I believe that so much. I mean, you have some guys that could step up. To me, it's Rice eventually. Maybe that's just my fantasy team's hoping for, but to me, you have Rice who's unpolished and could easily improve. Tony, who is an athletic freak, but he's probably undisciplined, maybe for lack of better terms. So there's question marks. But against the Denver defense, unpolished and undisciplined, I don't know that they matter. So I could see Rice getting there. At the same time, Rice and Tony have some of the highest drop rates in the league. So it's a little bit too question mark. I would love going Watson. I'll probably jump in on that too instead of taking a gamble on Rice or Tony. I wonder how much. I mean, Denver gives up the fourth most points to tight ends. I believe it's just a question mark of how healthy that ankle is with Kelce. So I think Watson's just a sneaky, like you said, sneaky smash spot there on Thursday.
Anybody? Speaking of Travis Kelce, anyone interested in fading him in this game?
Oof.
No crickets. No. The line's 70. I just think I think it's worth a little discussion. I mean, the guy came out of last game. They kind of, he forced his way back onto the field. I know he did practice this week, but it's 3 days rest, not short week against a team that they should dominate. I think it could be a sharp play to go under on him. I'm not rushing to go under on Travis Kelce. I just thought it was something worth discussing here. Dave?
The Swifties are about to have this podcast canceled. If you guys,
yeah, I know. That's why I'm trying to be quiet. No, I mean it's like we always say, it's about game script, and if you really think the Chiefs are going to blow this one off the cover, then Kelce's probably not going to play a whole lot in the second half. But it's close. It's close.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely good for 50 something yards, and I think he could get there. Rather than the yards, I might go with receptions. I know he just came off of a 10 reception game, but I really think what I'm concerned about in terms of targeting receivers in this game, I'm concerned that the Chiefs are just going to hand the ball off a ton after watching Breece Hall just dominate the Broncos. I think they're going to hand the ball off a ton. And I think, if they end up popping in 2 touchdowns or something off of rushing attempts early in the game, they're not going to be throwing the ball a lot the rest of the game. So that's my only concern of going over on any of these receivers. But yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I don't take too much offense to a Kelce under.
And Kelce's also.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go, Mike.
I was just going to mention that I'm looking at it now. Kelce versus the Broncos over the last 4 games versus them. 43 yards, 71, 34, and 27. So he's only hit that by half a yard in the last 4 games.
Yeah. I just noticed Props.cash added the stats all the way back to 2021 now. That's kind of nice. I love that. I was looking for more history.
I was looking at Mahomes, and it was like something of the last 45 games. I'm like, 45 games? That's how did he play that many games in the last season and a half? Yeah, no, that's cool.
All right, cool. Any other plays you guys got on the Chiefs side?
My thought is you were just talking about really, this could be a nice spot for the run game. I know we spoke about McKinnon and we spoke about Pacheco. Is there any thought here that this is like a CEH get right spot, and maybe they look to get some confidence back in him, and Edwards-Helaire runs the ball in? I think it's like a plus 500 for an anytime touchdown. I don't see any other lines on him out, but I don't know. What do you say, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely going to get some volume in this game. It could be anywhere between 5 carries to like 12 carries. Like it could be a pretty big range. I think if you're talking about any prop, I think plus 475 is a nice investment considering he could be getting the ball most of the fourth quarter. I also would keep an eye on the live lines once he starts getting some
great point
handoffs. They'll put a prop up there for him, and you might be able to get some good value there. So I think it's sneaky. I think it's good. Yep.
Agreed.
So,
all right,
cool. Mike, you got anything else on the Chiefs? I think we've killed the Chiefs, but you want to?
Yep. No, that's it.
All right. In fairness, let's move to the Broncos side. Start with the quarterback position. Mike, you got anything there with Mr. Russell?
So it feels disgusting to say, but I do like Russ over 20.5 completions. KC is allowing an average of 22.4 per game. And I just believe that, Russ has actually been playing better than it looks. Last week, I think he was doing all right until the fumble. He has, I believe, a top 5. He's top 5 in touchdowns and passer rating. Obviously, we're looking at a game script where they're playing from behind. And I just believe that he could hit that 21 mark, without even trying too hard.
Yeah, I think that's a great play. I think Tom, you were on that one as well, right?
I was on his attempts. I went so
Okay.
they kind of go hand in hand. It's 33.5 minus 115. His last two games against KC, 36 and 38. You look to that game, which I think could be a good comp to this game against the one against Miami, where they put up 70 points. He had 38 in that game. They're going to be playing from behind. He's not going to have a choice but to be throwing this ball. Did it come down to 32? I don't know, 33 on
Yeah,
most
you get it
books.
32.5 for a minus
on
110 on
DK.
DraftKings. And like you
Very
said,
nice.
36 and 38 the last two games versus KC. What do you do? Completions are also good. 23 and 26 the last two games versus KC.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's good. And, Tom, your concern was in that game versus Miami. Did he get pulled? No, he actually played the whole game.
No, I know,
least,
but that was the second week of the season. I'm just saying, I think after that fumble last week, I think Sean Payton was like furious, and I don't know. I can see him having a very short leash on Wilson here, because I think they're entering tank mode very, very soon. Try to get a high draft pick here. So I don't know. I just I'm a little worried about it. If I had to pick one, I would go with the pass attempts. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wide receivers, running backs, let's just lump them together. You guys got anything on the Denver side in either of those positions?
I don't.
Mike?
I have a running back play. I think it's worth at least noting. Judy's had some good numbers against Kansas City. I think over his last 2 or 3 games, he's had 15 catches for 111 yards and 3 touchdowns. But I don't want to get into that. I'm taking, I'm already on Russ's completions. The one play I am on is Javonte under 44.5 rushing yards. I don't see a reason, if they're playing from behind, if they're getting beat, Javonte is not fully healthy. He could have probably played last week from what it sounds like, but they were being extra cautious. Now you have a Thursday night game, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to run him into the ground. And he hasn't hit that mark only but one game this year. So, I feel like we're going to see him kind of decline. You also had the shock and awe game last week of Jaleel McLaughlin. So you would think he earned himself some more runtime, and Perrine gets in here and there. So I think playing the under 44.5 rushing at minus 115 for Javonte is a pretty safe play to me.
Yeah, this might be a little outdated, saying you can get that at BetMGM for minus 110, but it does look like DraftKings and Caesar, everybody else is with you, and those have gotten pulled down all the way to 36.5. So you like it still at 36.5, or that's getting a little too dicey?
When I looked this morning, it was 44.5 still on DraftKings, so I have to double check that. 36. But 36 is probably a little too low. I mean,
I think that's probably a little too low. But if you can get that anywhere at 44.5, I think that's a great play. Like you said, game script and kind of the history of the injury, I think, are two reasons why he probably won't get a ton of carries in this game. Rush attempts, if you just look, he 13 rush attempts in week 1 when there was still hope, and then that's just declined every week. So, I think he's probably good for 10 rush attempts this game, if that. All right, very nice. Last question I have for you guys. What about Russell Wilson rushing yards? It looked promising, either rushing yards or longest rush. Rushing yards are at 19.5 on FanDuel is the lowest you can get it. Let's see what he did last 2 games versus KC. Yeah, that's why thought that was pretty appealing. He had 57 and 27 versus KC, although I think the KC defense is significantly upgraded this year versus kind of where they were when they played last year. And then you also got the longest rush at 10.5 on DraftKings, maybe 9.5 on MGM. Put up 19 and 16 versus the Chiefs last year, and this year, he's cleared that in 3 of his last 4 games, despite not winning very much there. What do you guys think about Wilson, taking off for a couple of rushes?
I like. I would lean the longest rush. I think that would be my. I like the 9.5, trying to get a first down or something. With the KC defense, maybe shading back a bit, try to take that away from them. The passing game. So I don't know. That would be my lean over the total yards. But I think it's a good angle here.
What do you think, Mike? You like either of those?
Yeah, I mean, I could see him, trying to make something happen. I don't know that he's ever been a type of guy to, hold on to a past mistake too much. I don't think that fumble will still be in his head like it might be some players. I think he's the type to, I think in a press conference he used a baseball analogy and said when you're, 0 for 4, the only way to get your next hit is to swing. So I think could easily see that happening.
Yeah.
He's pretty delusional too. I think he still thinks he's a top 3 quarterback in the league. So.
That's for sure.
So I'm not worried about him, remembering last game. 9.5 longest rushing. I'm not playing this. I'm not going to be the guy standing in a sea of red, cheering when wearing a Chiefs jersey, cheering when Russell Wilson takes off and gets a first down. So I'm not going to play it, but I think it's probably a good play.
Yeah. I think that sounds good. Can I go through? I got my favorite play of the day is the parlay I alluded to at the
yes,
the top.
yes.
Yeah,
Let's not miss that one. Go for it.
So this is the way I'm playing this game. This will be my main play here. Just because I'm very worried about the them kind of shutting things down, KC shutting things down in the second half a bit. So I like Mahomes 225 plus passing yards. He's done that in 36 of 45 of his 45 last games, 20 of 24 at home. Pacheco 40 plus rushing yards. He's done that in 13 of his last 16 games. And the Chiefs to win by -6.5. We can do a -6.5 spread. You put those three together, you got plus 101, even money. Let's go. I think those are 3 home runs, no brainers. This is the way I'm playing it. What do you guys think?
What do you think, Mike? You like that?
I love it. I'm all in. I'm putting it in right now myself, actually. Because, I always tell my buddies, like, hey, on primetime games, some of the safest plays you can do is maybe parlay some numbers down or grab a defensive prop or a kicker prop, because those lines get so chalked that it's not worth playing a lot of things straight up. So I love that angle. I'm definitely putting that in right now.
They're winning by more than a touchdown for sure. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So that's the extra that just juices it up. And if plus 101 doesn't really get you going, if you want to go to put Mahomes at 250 plus and Pacheco at 50 plus, the numbers don't change much. Pacheco doesn't change at all. 50 plus rushing yards is 13 of his last 16. 250 plus passing yards for Mahomes is 33 of 45 as opposed to 36 of 45. Now you're getting plus 162 odds. I think you could go either way. I think those are both beautiful plays and very likely to cash here.
Yeah, there's just a side note on Mahomes too. I caught this right before I jumped on. Another prop stock cash guy, MJC Locks. He pointed out that in division games, Mahomes in 4 of the last 5 division games has over 290 yards. 4 of the last 5 division games, he has 3+ passing touchdowns. And in 10 out of the last 11 division games, he's had a longest pass for over 38 yards. So all good numbers for Mahomes.
Yeah. Look at that against Denver. 4 straight over 37.5. That's a nice one too. Although Tyreek Hill was catching a few of those a couple years ago. Excellent. Yeah, just one other comment on your parlay. I love that play, Tom. That is actually a big value difference. On FanDuel, you get that for plus 101, which is the number you threw out. You put that same parlay in on DraftKings, it's minus 120. So if you have access to both books, lock it in over on FanDuel. That's an extra 20 cents there. Is huge difference.
I think it's the same on that the one that I adjusted up that was plus 162 on FanDuel. I think that one's like plus 130 on DK.
Yeah. There was a big difference in how they were valuing Pacheco between the two books. So so I love that. Yeah, all right, cool. Nice. I think that does it for this game. Mike, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You ready?
I'm ready.
We never talk about baseball. We're not going to dive into deep dive in baseball, but we got 3 baseball games tonight. Braves Phillies, that's tied up at 1-1. Astros Twins 2-1, and Dodgers D-backs 0-2. Dodgers are down 0-2, which is crazy. Give me your 3 predictions for those games. Who's winning each of those games?
Man, I'm not about to fade the Phillies in Philadelphia. I've been considering driving across the state just to see that atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Nola and the Phillies today. As far as the Astros and the Twins go, I'm not quite sure on that one. If I had to go anywhere, I'd probably go with Houston. I don't know that Joe Ryan gets it done. But I do like Lynn to get smacked. I mean, the Diamondbacks are hot right now. They're leading the series 2-0, and I don't know that the way Lance Lynn has pitched in the past 2 years gives me any confidence in him away in Arizona. I think that rookie gets it done for the Diamondbacks. So I feel pretty confident about the Phillies and the Diamondbacks at home, but I think the Astros steal one away.
Wow. All right. I love that. I needed to put a parlay in for MLB tonight, so I figured while we had you on, I would get you here. We don't talk about baseball too much. Exactly. All right, Tom, we got anything else?
No, I think that's it. We already got a couple WNBA picks up on X, so you can check those out. We got game 2 tonight, so lots of stuff to bet on. We suggest getting some of these props on the Thursday Night Football in nice and early because the lines do move and you get the most value now. So let's lock them in. We'll all make some money. Thank you, Mike, for joining the show. Always a pleasure to have you.
And, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Sure thing. And
Let's
Dave,
smack a touchdown parlay this week, huh?
let's do
Yeah,
it.
we're gonna nail that one. This is the week.
All right, Dave. Safe travels. Enjoy your homage to Kansas City, and let's go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
See you guys.